Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. As you can see from the wheel behind me, it is time for another round of my Wheel of TBR, this time choosing my books for June. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before I start, I am going to go ahead and link you to January's Wheel of TBR up in the cards. This will go over my rules and how I personally play the game. So you can go back and watch that if you are curious, but it will come up as I play this round, so you don't have to watch that one, but it's there in case you want to. Now, I always start these TBRs off by recapping my previous month's reads. If you have been following along with these videos for the last couple of months, you know that March was a terrible reading month, and I have been attempting to catch up ever since then. So let's go ahead and go back and take a look at April's TBR so I can let you know how I did with the 3 books I had to carry over from that month's list. So the first carryover from April was White Cat by Holly Black. This fulfilled the prompt of oldest on my TBR in terms of how many years it had been on my TBR, and I did read this one. I also had Akata Witch by Nnedi Okorafor, which was for paranormal, and I also read this one. And then the final one was a TBR jar forfeit. For that, I had to read The Blackwoods by Brandy Colbert, and I have read this one. So April's TBR is checked off. Now for May, my first spin gave me a new release. For that, I chose Night Watching by Tracy Sierra, which I did read. The second spin was a book from my 2024 series TBR. For that, I chose Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins, and I did read that one. The third spin was also a book from my 2024 series TBR. For that, I chose A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, which I am currently reading. It is May 27th, so I have about 4 more days to finish. I have to read this much of it, but I'm listening to it on audio. It should get done by the end of the month. And if it doesn't, it'll be done within the first couple days of June. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this one complete, even though it's not quite complete. The next spin gave me a book with a school setting. For that, I chose Demon Glass by Rachel Hawkins, which I have read. And the final spin was a new to me author. For that, I chose Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina, and I have read this one. So that means, assuming that I get A Fire Endless done within the next 4 to 5 days, that I will have completed May's TBR. It has been a hot minute, y'all, since I have managed to complete a TBR in the actual month I was supposed to read it. So let's give a small celebration because I do feel very accomplished. Now, that being said, there are still books that I was hoping to get to in May that I have not yet read. If they happen to fit prompts on the wheel, I will be putting them on June's official TBR, but otherwise I'm just gonna try to get to them over the course of the next month. Now, I am officially done with work this coming Friday, May 31st. So starting June 1st, I will have 2 months-ish off for summer break, and I'm hoping I can do quite a bit of reading during that time, but we'll save that for another video. So with all of the recapping out of the way, it is time now to do spin number 1 for June and see what is going on my monthly TBR. Okay, so as I said, it's time for spin number 1. All right, we have a witchy book, definitely doable. Let me see what I want to pick. Okay, I am gonna go ahead and tackle a series book straight off with spin number 1, and I am going to do Spellbound by Rachel Hawkins. This is the 3rd of 4 books in her Hex Hall series. I read the first 2 in May, so it will be very nice to just kind of move right into the 3rd one. It's pretty short, they read really quickly, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the original trilogy ends, because the 4th book is kind of like a spin-off. So this will complete the official trilogy, and I'm very excited to see how everything turns out. Okay, so I need to replace witchy book, and we will do odd page count. And now we will do spin number 2. Okay. Audiobook, very easy prompt. The vast majority of my reading so far this year has been via audiobook. So let me see which one is on my list to tackle next. Okay, I am going to go with Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I have been trying to read this for the last 3-ish months, and it hasn't happened. I am doing this on audio because I've already tried to read this physically and not been able to get through it. So this is the one I'm gonna pick. It should have been read actually last month and wasn't, so this is going on the list. Okay, let's replace audiobook with Nancy Drew. I am trying to read the original Nancy Drew book, so that would be handy. Although if I land on it this month, it will have to be a forfeit, so hopefully it will just wait until next month. All right, next, spin number 3. Okay. This is random read. I'm gonna tweak this slightly and use a spinner wheel that I created rather than doing my entire Goodreads list, because I have some books that I would really like to get to in June. And this runs the risk of giving me like a very bulky nonfiction book, which I don't have time for. So let me pull that wheel up and we're just gonna spin it and use that as my random read prompt. Okay, so I'm putting the wheel right here. This is a wheel of all of the books on my 24 and 2024. So this will still be randomized, but will also fit with reading plans and reading goals. So sorry that I'm not completely randomizing it, but we gotta do what we gotta do. So let me go ahead and see what this is gonna give me. Okay, so that is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Here's the cover. This one's pretty lengthy, so it's still going to take some time to get through, but I am looking forward to reading this just because a friend of mine read it a really long time ago, back when it was released, and enjoyed it decently well. I know this was supposed to be part of a series that was never completed, but I do own a physical copy of this somewhere. I'm not sure where it is right now, but I do own it, and I've owned it since its release, so it is time for me to get it read. So that will be book number 3, The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Okay, we're gonna switch out random read with a seasonal read. And now we will do spin number 4. Okay, we have Matches My Outfit. I am wearing a black and white striped shirt with black pants. Pretty simple. Let me see if I can find a cover that has those colors. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go with another book from my 24 and 2024. This one has some red and some blue on it as well because it's a person's face and the font at the bottom is red, but that is Heist Society by Allie Carter. And the reason I'm choosing this one, first of all, the white background, she's wearing black, she's got black frame sunglasses, so I feel like it works, and I need to read this one anyway. I wanted to read it in May, it's not gonna happen, so putting it on the list for June will be very helpful. Okay, we're gonna replace Matches My Outfit with a book from my owned TBR. And now we will do the final spin, spin number 5. Okay. This would have worked for the book that I just picked, but we have new series. So let me see what I want to do for this one. I'm not sure. So let me take a look. Okay, I'm actually going to go with a book that I'm really excited to read and bought a couple months ago. It is Murder Most Unladylike. This is by Robin Stevens. This is the start of her Murder Most Unladylike mystery series, and there are, I believe, 10 of them. I own the first 3, but I have wanted to read this one. I believe it's middle grade, should be really quick to read, and I've heard really fun things about it, so I'm looking forward to it. Also, it has really pretty sprayed edges. They all do, and it matches like the covers, so I'm excited to read this one, especially since I own the other two. And I'm trying to be better about reading 2024 purchases during the actual calendar year. So that will help me with that goal. I think this is going to be a lot of fun and I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and replace that prompt just so it's ready for next month with a book that features magic. Okay, now let me go ahead and chat about other books that I'm hoping to get to during the month of June. So the first one is my buzzword pick for June. The buzzword is repeating words. So for that, I am going to be reading Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, I believe. I've heard really good things about this one. It is from my 24 and 2024 list, so that is helpful as well. Then I also have my classics pick for the months of May and June. I obviously did not read it in May, so I'm gonna need to read it in June. That is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Heard amazing things about this and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I have never read anything by this author before, but this was the one that is kind of like her most recommended, so I wanted to go ahead and give it a read. Then we have my nonfiction pick for May and June, which I obviously also did not read yet, so have to read in June. That is The Radium Girls by Kate Moore. Several of my friends have read this book and really enjoyed it, so I'm very much looking forward to reading it, even though it is kind of chunky. I think it's going to be a great book. The next book I want to mention is June's Literally Dead book club pick. I am finally back on track reading them. Hopefully from here on out in the month I am meant to read them. The pick for June is You Know What You Did by Katie Nguyen. It's a thriller. I really love reading thrillers and mysteries over the summer, so I'm hoping that I will really enjoy this one because the last couple Literally Dead book club picks have not really been my favorite. So let's hope that June's pick is a little bit better. And then the final book I want to mention is like a professional development book, but I picked up Makerspaces, Remaking Your Play in STEAM Early Learning Areas, and I just kind of want to give this a read to see if it's got any ideas or things for me to try next year. This book is very floppy, sorry it keeps falling over, but I did pick this up a few months ago, so I'm looking forward to giving this a read. It's got a lot of pictures in it, so I don't think it's going to take a super long time, but I do want to kind of just take my time as I go through it this summer, so this won't necessarily be read in June, but it will be something that I'm kind of poking at throughout my summer break. Okay, so let's do a very quick recap before I sign off this video. My first spin gave me a witchy book, so I will be reading Spellbound by Rachel Hawkins, the third book in her Hex Hall series. My next spin gave me an audiobook. For that, I will be doing Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, because as I already mentioned, there's no way I'm reading this physically. I've already tried it and failed. Then my next spin was a random read, so I used my 24 and 2024 spinner wheel, and it selected The Host by Stephanie Meyer. The next spin gave me Matches My Outfit, and I chose Heist Society by Allie Carter. And the final spin gave me New Series, so for that I chose Murder Most Unladylike by Robin Stevens, and that completes my TBR for June. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.